Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I guess it really depends a lot on where you are viewing this from. I hope that you are having a fantastic start to the week here in the Chicagoland area. This is the beginning of week 3 of the sheltering in place, quarantining, self-isolating, whatever you want to call it, time. So things are still pretty interesting here. But looking forward to being able to spend another week with you on LinkedIn Live here. And welcome to everybody who's joining us for the first time. I know some of you are coming back from some of the ones that we ran over the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited to come at you this week with these LinkedIn Lives. And we're really going to be talking about how to use LinkedIn posts to more actively engage your prospects and clients, but also really to position yourself as what I call the sales Sherpa. So just a little bit of information. The sales Sherpa concept is one that I write about in my latest book, Hyper Connected Selling, which I highly recommend. It's available on Amazon. Go pick it up. We got audio versions, Kindle versions, print versions, go get it. But I wrote this book about hyper-connected selling, and I realized, of course, as you often do at the end, that the sales Sherpa concept was really the nugget that I wanted to expand on and to help people with, because I really see that sales moving forward is going to shift, and especially with the pandemic we're in right now, but also even beyond that, we're going to slightly reshape how we engage and influence people. And I really think that if you want to sell, if you are in sales, if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you're somebody who has to influence people, not just market, but get them to sign on the dotted line. I think the sales Sherpa concept is going to be incredibly valuable for you. And in short, what it basically means is position yourself as the resource, as the guide who can take your prospect up the mountain and help them get where they want to go more easily, effectively, and efficiently. And the key is to do that before that buyer even starts on their buying journey. In fact, that they know that they're even on a buying journey. And so this week, we're really going to look at how do you use LinkedIn to do just that, to position yourself as the guide, as the person that people can go to for help when they need it. And so as we go through the week, hey, Chris, thanks for popping that up. The link to the book. If I was more versed in LinkedIn Live, I probably would have done that beforehand. But what we're going to do this week, let me be very clear. I'm not going to be talking about how to use LinkedIn as a sales influencer, because I actually think that a lot of my peers who write and speak and train people on how to, whether you call it social selling or digital selling or modern selling, we often do a disservice to most people. And actually, a friend of mine, Sean Carey, pointed this out. I was actually interviewing him on my podcast, and he kind of called me out. He's like, the sales influencers who are out there creating content, sharing content, they do a disservice to the average salesperson. Not that they're average people, but the person who's not creating and sharing content regularly, because we make it seem way more difficult than it is. And I think that's true. I think that a lot of times people look at using LinkedIn or social tools, they see kind of the people that are on LinkedIn Live and writing articles and speaking and doing videos and podcasts. And they're like, man, I'm just trying to find prospects, connect them, and sell. And so that's what I want to do this week. Is I don't want to teach you how to be a thought leader. I don't want to teach you how to be an influencer or any of that. It might come, that'd be great. But rather, I want to talk about how you can actually day in and day out use LinkedIn to share content, to position yourself as a sales Sherpa, as a resource. And what this will allow you to do is be present in the conversations that are happening not only online right now, but also in the Zoom calls that your prospects are having. That there used to be a conversation that was happening in a conference room, and eventually they will be again. But you want to make sure that you're positioned in the minds of the people who are having those conversations, so that when your solution comes up, or in fact, rather, when the problem that your solution solves comes up, you're the first person they think about. Okay. And that's why you need to be present on LinkedIn, not just now, but really moving forward. Right now, it's just heightening our awareness of this issue. It's just making it really apparent that LinkedIn is a place to be because it's one of the only places we can be right now. But again, once we're able to go out into the real world, interact and engage in the real world, that's great. But we're still going to be able to use this tool. And the other thing I want to point out is, as we go through this week, I'm not talking about spray and pray here. This actually bothers the heck out of me. And if this wasn't a LinkedIn Live video, I'd probably be a little more emphatic about this. Hey, Katie, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us again. I do not look at LinkedIn as solely a lead generation tool. Can it be that? Absolutely. Can it be that for most salespeople? Absolutely. But there are too many hustlers out there, really, and charlatans who are trying to convince people that LinkedIn is this great lead gen device where you can get 10 or 15 leads a week. In fact, you might have gotten a message from somebody trying to sell you that service. I get like, I don't know, 5 or 7 of those every week still. In fact, there's a whole, some guy came up with some program and got a bunch of people to do it as an affiliate link. I've literally gotten 5 since Thursday that are cookie cutter invites. And that's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about how to actually position yourself as a resource, as somebody who can continue on into a true sales conversation. Again, not just spray and pray a bunch of invites or use some marketing automation tool. There's a time and place for that, but there's very few times and very few places, in my opinion. I want to teach you how to, again, to be able to use this tool, not only now, but for the future, and to build these relationships that will allow you to bring prospects into your pipeline the right way and to convert them into clients. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. And the place I want to start, because I want to give a little bit of information here today that you can use right away. This is going to be very, very unsexy. And sorry, I just saw a message from Kay that, somebody had reached out congratulating her for joining her new role at her new company, or I'm sorry, at her old company, not her new one. That's happening a lot because, again, right now we've got all these salespeople and entrepreneurs and business owners who are jumping on LinkedIn in a panic, and they're just, I'm going to message everybody and try to make something happen. Unfortunately, it's a little late for that. But even if you're just coming to LinkedIn in a place of desperation, don't freak out, because everybody can smell desperation on LinkedIn. If you think we can't, we can. So don't do that. But anyway, so what I want to talk about today, before we talk about LinkedIn posting, we have to talk about something that's super unsexy, and that is your LinkedIn profile. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through how to create a great LinkedIn profile. I actually have a whole checklist that I came up with. And in fact, I can share that with you. Send me a message after this. Send me an invite if we're not connected. I'm happy to share that checklist with you. I've written a book about how to do this, networking on the 21st century on LinkedIn. But here's why this is so important. You have to have a LinkedIn profile that is customer centric, that is speaking to the needs, to the wants, to the desire for information from your prospective clients, from the people who are going to work with you. And most profiles are not set up that way. It's stupid. I've been working with people on LinkedIn for like 12 years now, 13 maybe. I think 13 years. And the whole time I've been talking about how to get better profiles. And it's amazing to me how many people still have crap profiles. Let's just call it a crap profile, because that's what it is. They either imported their resume at one point, or they have this. Salespeople out there, entrepreneurs, this happens a lot. You're bragging. Nobody cares. Think about what you would say if you just met somebody at a networking event, at a conference. You just are having a conversation with a prospective client. You wouldn't share your resume, and you wouldn't talk about all the sales awards you won. No, you talk about what's important to them, how you help your customers, and that encourages them to become a customer of yours. So you have to, before you do any of the super sexy posting and, curating content and creating content that everybody wants to do, you have to make sure you look good, because all of that activity is going to go point at your LinkedIn profile. If you pop up in somebody's news feed, they're interested, they're like, oh wow, that's a really interesting point, or that's an interesting article that they shared, or they might be able to help me with what I need to do. And then they click over your profile, and it leaves them wanting. They're not going to engage. They're not going to create a conversation. So you have to spend some time. And man, this is the perfect time to do that, right? You probably have an extra hour in your schedule this week. Spend some time. Again, feel free to reach out to me, get that checklist. I'm happy to send it over to you. You can go to my blog. There's a ton of articles on how to have a great profile. And to be straightforward, do a quick Google search. This isn't rocket science. And even though, yes, I am partial to the stuff that I create, there are many of my colleagues who've put together wonderful material on how to have a good profile. Find one you like, follow it. But again, make it customer centric, because if you don't, everything else we talk about this week is wasted. And yes, I feel very much, I call this the Mr. Miyagi statement, right? Wax on, wax off, paint the fence, seems boring, seems unsexy. There's the whole musical montage in the original Karate Kid. That is the only Karate Kid. I've never seen any other one. If Daniel Russo and Pat has got to listen to Pat Morita. That's the only way it can work. But please, please, please sit at your home office desk, sit at your kitchen table. If you're in the office, great. But if you are in sales, you have to have a profile that speaks to your prospective clients, that speaks to their needs, their concerns, and positions you as somebody who can solve those problems that they have, that can help them solve their challenges. And that's what we want to do, because then they're much more likely to listen to you. And as I said, that's when you start to become that sales Sherpa, because what you're going to be able to do is help them make their buying decisions better, faster, and with less risk. And that's really what a sales Sherpa is. And that's what we want to do with all of our content. But it all stems from that passive content you leave out there all the time, which is your profile. And again, I know it's not a sexy place to start, but if I didn't start there, everything else is meaningless. And by the way, I'm not saying you have to have like a professionally written, completely amazing, fully fleshed out 20 recommendations, a whole bunch of videos and professionally done banner video. None of that. It helps, but it's not necessary. It just has to be clean, it has to be clear, and it has to speak to your audience. So that's where I want to start this week. Tomorrow, we're actually going to start looking at how do we take that base and then how we start building on it. So the first place we're going to look tomorrow is how to curate content. And so basically, how do you go out into the internet and find content that you can share through your LinkedIn profile, with your through your LinkedIn presence, to your network of your prospects, to your referral partners, your centers of influence. And within that, we're also going to set up a very simple editorial calendar, which may sound really challenging. It's not. It could be a Word document. It could actually be just a sheet of paper where you map out what you're going to share, when you're going to share it. This is one of the steps to making this really complex concept of posting regularly on LinkedIn actually really doable, and it allows you to execute it within the framework of doing everything else. And as I said, my goal is not to make you a sales influencer. My goal is not to make you a social media star. My goal is to help you put LinkedIn within the context and framework of all of your other activities, all of your client work, your prospecting, all your client meetings, everything else that you have to do in your role to develop business. I want to just carve out a little bit of time so that you can strategically use LinkedIn to get more business and get better business. So that's going to be our goal. So tomorrow we're going to look at how to, again, curate the content and really how to structure an editorial calendar that lets you kind of do this. If not on automatic, it really takes a ton of the guesswork out of it. And that's what we want to do. So thank you so much for spending some time with us. Again, I'm trying to keep these really short. I'll be back out tomorrow at 11:30 Central. If you know salespeople who would find this valuable, please share this. If you know small business owners who would find this valuable, please show us. Entrepreneurs, same thing. And really anybody, because I do think that we are all in sales, that we're all trying to influence others. This, by the way, can also be really good, unfortunately, for people who are looking for work. Fortunately, it's good for people who are looking for work, but unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of them. So if you even know somebody who's looking for that next job, please share this with them. Again, we're going to come at you at 11:30. And the final thing, two final things. One is say thank you today. Hopefully you don't have to go out, but if you do, say thank you to the people who are making the world run while we fight this virus. So the delivery drivers, the mailman, mailwoman, the people working at the grocery store. These people all have the same fears we do, and they're going out and doing their job. The bus drivers, the train conductors, I guess you'd call them here in Chicago, and absolutely anybody who's in the healthcare industry and really at the front lines right now, the doctors, the nurses, everybody else. And then finally, this is a beginning of week 3, a lot going on. I'd say this at the end always. Be patient as we get into week 3. That might be, we love our family, but we've been around them a long time right now. Be kind and take care of each other. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. See everybody tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.